It's giving pointy toes.
I feel like I'm really cozy and you guys are...
No, it's more neutral.
Uniformy.
It was more neutral.
I'm going to blend into the sofa.
Welcome to The Vault with Financielle. This is a safe space to talk all things life and money, and no topics are off limits. So, hey girls, I've got a little TikTok for you today.
I'm here for the TikTok. Come show us.
So, we've got a little mum situation. Throwback. Let's have a look.
Growing up, when she would buy stuff, she would get a red marker and mark it out, the price tag, so she could make it look like things were on sale when you would ask her.
I carried a red pen in my purse.
I can't believe you did that.
I did.
Why?
Because you're so weird about me buying stuff and spending money. I thought, well, if he thinks it's on sale, I'll back that away.
You did not.
I did too.
When?
Oh, when the girls were little. And I almost divorced over me buying a pair of shoes. And I knew they would go with everything, and so I bought them.
any money.
I still, what? So anyway, I have no idea where whatever had to happen to them, but he told me I had to be buried in them. I think not.
So my first thought was that she was writing it in store so she could get it for cheaper.
She was stealing it, but like...
She's like, £5. $5.
That's like a sticker switcheroo. You hear people doing that.
She
Oh
was
my
cheating
god.
the system. No, she was cheating her
just the
husband.
That is just such a wholesome moment as a family.
Yeah.
I loved the parents like, you did not. Yes, I
He
did.
literally appreciated that so much. I think like he
Smiling.
shut his eyes and he did a laugh, and I was like, but you can tell they're in a really good place financially now where that would not bother
Definitely.
them at all. But there must have been a place in time whereby he was like, stop freaking spending all the money. She had a system. I'm here for it.
Did you hear him when she said, he told me I had to be buried in them.
I don't know where they are. She didn't know where they
She
were.
never
know
know.
them.
She said, I think not.
Have you ever lied to your partner about... I mean, now's your time to confess. If you're watching.
Don't listen to that. I don't think I have, but I know when I wanted to spend on quite a larger item, I've probably had to really think about how I was going to sell it in.
Yeah,
And-
you need to position it.
yeah. And actually, I overthink that. And he's like, okay. You know, and I think it's because I'm quite measured in how I spend. And like lately we've been upping our budget in certain areas. And every time we've done that, I felt like more of the budget at the moment is going towards things for me. And my gym is way more expensive than him. I've been getting Invisalign. There's been lots of little things that as a couple we've had to decide on. I've never gone, look at this.
Yeah.
But I saw actually a really funny TikTok of a lad carrying off his girlfriend when she gets a delivery. I don't know if you've seen it. And he comes in, he pretends to be her and he goes, don't start, it was on sale and I was sending half of it back. And it's the banter because obviously this is always a thing this is often a thing in relationships, isn't it? Like spending or not, or overspending or not, just the dynamics.
Yeah. I mean, me and my boyfriend don't even like combine finances. We obviously just like split our bills and everything. We've got a joint account, but we don't really that's just for when we go out and stuff. And I recently bought a Dyson Airwrap, which I sent back. It didn't work. I couldn't use it. More like, and I even still found myself kind of justifying. And
was that from you paid for it as well? It wasn't from the joint account, but you still justifying it to him.
I was like, it would save me so much time because I would only have to style my hair once a week. It would be great for both of us. You can use it if you want.
if I could you chip in half because you're going to do a fringe with it.
You can actually pay for a little bit because you will use it.
I feel like we always justify.
Do you think that was possibly when something's a big expense? Is it because actually you're not sure about it?
Probably.
Sometimes we justify things when
Definitely.
we're not quite sure ourselves.
Yeah, I needed to convince myself a little bit more. And then I felt fine that I was sending it back. And then he was like, but what about all of this stuff that you said? I was like, yeah, don't need it anyway.
It's like using your own argument against
it
you.
actually took more time.
So I think as women, we like debate over stuff a lot more than partners do
Definitely.
when it comes to like big expense. Like I know with my husband, it was lockdown times and he wanted to buy a bike and it was really expensive and he kept being like, I get the cycle to work scheme, so it should be like this amount of money, but I'm only going to be paying this amount. And now I'm like, he's not been on the bike post-COVID and I'm like, Do you know that bike that we bought and we like
That you
talked about a lot?
justified.
Like it's hung up on the garage door. Like I think we need to sell it, and he's like, yeah, it's fine. But I imagine his like internal turmoil of like, I'm going to be spending a lot of the family's money because we do have joint finances, but it ebbs and flows. Like you say, I'm like getting laser hair removal.
Yeah.
Like that's a big like
Expense.
outgoing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I felt like I had to justify it. And like your husband, he was just like, yeah, fine, no problem. I think as women, we overthink, but the potential to spend on so many things as a female comes up so much more than it does for a man. So it's not so much of a big deal.
Definitely.
No, it does. And actually, like if you think about that relationship dynamic and what we don't know is like how the parents combined their finances earlier when the children were little, and also who earned what. And sometimes one partner underestimates what things cost generally. So it's not just like, oh, you bought some nice red shoes and they were expensive. It's actually, you bought clothes for the kids and it's like, well, they need new shoes.
Yeah.
And do you know how much shoes cost nowadays? And they need uniform. And, you know, we've got this stat that women control 85% of the world's spending. It's because we've got the list of the things we've got to go buy. And, you know, and there's the kind of, we call it the beauty tax. It's not like a tax, but the aesthetic element of what it's like to be a female, the standards that we feel we have to hit comes with this extra expenditure that does come out of the family budget or the joint budget or your individual budget. And so I feel like that was a lovely lighthearted TikTok to delve into those issues. But I loved how like surprised he was. He was like, of course you didn't. But he probably forgot, actually. Maybe he made some comments earlier in their marriage where she was like, sod it, I'm just going to.
He told her she needed to get buried in them. So like, she did have a complex overspending. But again, you don't know at the time, they could have been in a really tight financial situation.
She's buying their shoes.
They can look back on it now and laugh, but I get the sense that she was laughing about it too, and I carried a pen in my purse and whatnot. But to have those arguments over, you better get buried in those shoes, like there were a lot of money. $75 probably was a lot of money then, but yeah, the dynamics of money and families is like,
I've seen people before like talk about they like take the boxes off, take the tags off and put it on and go, I've had this ages. Have you not?
It's
like,
from Vinted.
You should know. Why have you not? You just don't pay any attention. I've worn
this so many times. So rude.
Oh, no, thank you for that one, Lucy. I like it. I'm glad that was the TikTok of the week.
Okay, so I've got a little dilemma. It's a bit of a big one, so
we'll settle him.
Yeah, settle in. Bit of a long one. So the title is I Need to Get My Debt Off My Chest. So I'm a bit of a silent community member, but I feel like I need to come clean and get my debt off my chest. Me and my husband are both mid-40s, 2 children, and we earn well over 100k a year combined. Despite this, we are in a shit load of debt. Which, by the way, this isn't a sob story. I understand that our debt is completely unacceptable. We've been complete idiots and we've been living way beyond our means, never willing to wait for anything. I feel embarrassed, disgusted, and disappointed in us, and my husband feels the same. Just after Christmas, I had a health scare. Luckily, everything turned out okay and my income wasn't impacted, but this was a bit of a wake-up call. Things could have been very different and we've been forced to face up to the mess that we're in. So between us, we're in just over £100,000 of debt.
Oh, was not expecting you to say that.
I was like, 20 grand. Okay.
That's on top of our mortgage. I feel so shameful. About 40% of it is linked to home improvements, but even those were wants and not needs. The rest of the debt was racked up by us living freely and overspending on credit cards, taking consolidation loans and then repeating the cycle. It went on for years without us realising. Fast forward to now, we're in 100k debt and we have not a lot to show for it. We don't want to remortgage our house and we're not eligible for any type of debt management, as despite the debt being astronomical, we can't afford the payments. I would like to talk to my parents about it. They aren't in a position to help us, but they're super supportive. However, my husband is adamant that this is private, but it just feels like a huge weight on my shoulders. For the first time in our lives, we've thought about doing a budget and keeping track of what we spend, but I have no idea where to start. Please help.
I mean,
I feel like she was in such a low place at the start of that. She's hit rock bottom. And actually sometimes you need to hit rock bottom if you're going to make a change, because otherwise you just coast along and you think you tweak. And this is not going to take little changes. This is big, big changes. And so I feel like I'm excited for her, notwithstanding that is a huge amount of debt, because they have the income at the moment to go after it. and she's stressed about it. You know, she sounds like she wants to get to a place where I want this debt out my life. And if 40% of it was on, you know, reno stuff, it's definitely wants, and she acknowledges that. And I love that, because she's kind of like, I definitely went for the bougie kitchen or whatever they did. She's recognizing that. She's not kind of explaining it away, but at least it may have added value to whatever she's building, etc. So she sounds like she's ready for a plan.
Yeah, I didn't get the impression, she didn't mention, but I don't know if he's on the same page too. She's very much taking this debt, like on, it feels like the responsibility is on herself. And I don't know if that's leads in with the 85% of the will spending, like women generally make like the financial decisions in the home, i.e. this is the holiday we're going to go on, this is the kitchen that I want.
She might have been at the core of all the spending. She doesn't share it, does she? So she might be carrying the guilt of that.
100k. What did they buy?
I want to know.
I want the receipts.
Literally. Do you know what? But that's what happens, and this is where it really doesn't matter how much you earn, because you just spend above your means and crack on. If you earn quite a lot, what happens is it sloshes around in your bank account much more than if you don't earn a lot. And so you don't feel you have to check every penny, but actually your tastes tend to be more expensive. And so, you know, it's 150 quid for a meal out, or, you know, especially if you've got kids as well. And it's like, you know, £50 for drinks, and your Uber's here, and Uber Eats.
Your mortgage is more, you've probably got a bigger car on finance.
Chunks,
like,
and then when you get like credit
there.
card, the opportunity of a credit card, it seems like
bigger.
it's just unlimited, like spending.
Lifestyle creep.
Definitely.
They got the lifestyle creep.
Yeah, definitely.
So so before we go on to the budget, because I want to talk about that, the parents thing is really interesting. It's like, because if they're not going to be able to practically help, and quite frankly, I don't think families should ever help unless you're in kind of danger situation, because it's just another problem that you've shared with someone else. And unless, if you should be able to try and work it through together. Yeah. I appreciate wanting to share things with your family and being quite open, but you have to be aligned on that. He probably sounds quite ashamed, to be fair. He probably does realize how stressful this is, because he doesn't want to share it. But I feel like this is the thing at first, unless it is really impacting your mental health, and unless you can't work on it together at first, I call it, like, I'm not religious, but a come to Jesus meeting.
Yeah.
The war room.
Literally.
Get the papers out. Get the bottle of wine out from.
Literally face up to
that
it.
Facing up to it, I think, is a big one. I think she'll feel better just by writing that dilemma is all one thing I would say. So if anybody else in the same situation, just write the dilemma in, even if you don't do anything about it for a month.
Send it to us. Like, we'll listen to you.
I think just getting it off her chest and coming. She says. Literally. She said, come to the realization. So I feel like she's going to make a really practical change. And I love, she said they'd never budgeted before. I think on a 100k combined income, they could make a really big dent in that, and sooner than they probably think.
Yeah, so what would we say? So obviously, community member, you'll know about the Money MOT. So head to the app and have a look at the Money MOT in the Learn section, because what that will do is help you go, I'm skipping a stage. Let's get the budget down first, but create a budget in the app that's your budget now. So have a look at last month's spending, have a look at what your mortgage cost, your bills cost, all like genuinely what you spent on eating out and shopping and everything. Yeah, be honest, because you need to know where you're at now, because then you can, so once you know where that is, what you'll probably find is you're spending more than's coming in. And I know that sounds really fucking simple, but to everyone, it's not. Sometimes you have to have that, because that's when you use credit. When you are spending more than what's coming in, where does that money come from? It's pretend money, it's credit.
The math isn't mathing.
It's the math's not mathing. So if you do that once and go, okay, this is the worst it is ever going to be. This is the worst budget. Yeah. This is the deepest. So then what you can do is you do the Money MOT, you go through every single line in your budget, and you look at how you can optimize it. Can you switch energy providers or mortgage providers? Can you switch some of the cards to lower interest? Can you cut some things that are not wants? Because she already knows about needs and wants, which is cool. And I think going through that process together, making joint decisions, not just her doing it, is going to be really good for them. They'll get excited about it.
We talk about flexing that money muscle, don't we? And if you've never sat down and practically, it's really hard to see where your budget's going wrong when you don't go through it in that logical, chronological order. If you just like, I know I spend too much on eating out, it's really hard to be like, that's going to fix it. I might turn down 2 meals. It's not going to do anything. You literally have to go. You literally have to go line by line and do an autopsy. It's like a money autopsy.
Yeah, and I feel like she's definitely clearly accepted that they're both in this debt, but also kind of you're at the point now where you can ditch the shame, because that's not going to add anything.
No,
you know that you need to.
She's like, the biggest
It's really
thing
brave.
is actually
Yeah.
accepting that you've messed up and that for whatever reason, this is where you are. But to ignore it is kind of like the ostrich, we call it, don't we? As a money
Yeah.
personality at Financielle, you know, we all have different money personalities. And also she and he might have different personalities.
Yeah.
So I think if she accepts that, he may feel more stress about it and therefore think it should be a private thing to not share. But yeah, I feel like I'm excited for them because they both realise that they don't want to go back and they want to make a change. And luckily for now, with that income, and if they're earning that, you know, they could possibly even earn more, they can make a plan. And 2024 is the year to absolutely smash that debt. You know, I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it in a year, obviously, with their earnings, because they're not going to be able to unless they come into extra money. But that could be a 2-year plan.
Definitely.
It really could be if they were really, really aggressive about it. And set themselves like mini goals along the way. Like when we pay off 10 grand, we'll go out for a nice meal, you know,
Yeah,
gamify
mini
it a
goals. I
little
like
bit.
that.
Oh, well, listen,
Good luck.
keep us updated and we want to get you on here anonymously or practically if you want to come on and tell us when you're debt free. We're here for it.
Yeah, I want this. So on a little bit of a lighter note, I've got a nice little community win
Oh, I like
to
these.
read out. So today we've got Emma, and Emma has said, "I've got engaged.
Oh,
Yay!
congratulations, Emma.
Now I've created a savings goal for the wedding, and seeing that little reminder every time I jump on the app is so exciting / incredibly mind-blowing that how much weddings are. But at least I know where I'm at and what I've got to save."
Oh, amazing. Congratulations, first of all.
I know
I
what
mean-
she means. So like on the app, she's obviously put it as her first goal. So every time she opens it, I wonder what her picture is. Do you reckon it's
Yeah.
like dress, venue, ring?
Bougie, like
Definitely
black and white.
Pinterest.
A Pinterest
Yeah.
one. Yeah. Oh my
But weddings
God.
are so freaking expensive.
I was just about to say, like, I have not even a ballpark number
I mean, it
of
depends.
how much a wedding is.
So we're not going to put Alex under pressure. But if that was you right now, because we've been there and done it, so I don't want to cloud your judgment of a wedding. But
Put me off marriage.
I've forgotten how you approach it actually. What does it feel like to be someone who isn't married yet, who may want to get married, especially if you've been in a long-term relationship and you're in your 20s? Where'd you start?
Oh my
Pinterest.
God. Literally, I mean, the Pinterest board has been going for a good few years. I can confirm. However, no budgets are created. Maybe that's my next little fixation.
Have you seen Grace Beverley's looking at wedding venues
In
at the
Paris.
moment? In Paris and in, because we were talking about this, would she do destination?
Yeah.
I never thought of Paris actually. So she was looking around some English Cotswoldsy traditional venues. I didn't think she'd do destination because she seems to like to travel, and so
Yeah.
that's the honeymoon tick maybe, and they do the overseas thing.
Yeah.
Paris was like left field, but
Yeah.
now so obvious.
Because it's so easy to get to. All the family are in
Eurostar.
London.
They could do the Eurostar. It's
Get on
so
the train,
annoying.
guys.
I think
Got your train tickets.
Just tickets, please, to Paris.
QR codes in the invitations.
so many people like elope now, don't they? Or they do like there was a trend, I don't know if you saw it last year, like a lot of people go into like a registry office in London and then like 2 weddings.
Yeah,
so they do like a
that
small,
seems like the norm.
like intimate, like with the
Yeah.
white suit and like
A lot of
very city
outfits.
vibes. It is. It's
need a lot of
life
outfits.
happens.
Yeah.
And then moving
Double
on
wedding.
to like like a destination
Basically.
wedding. That's like
I feel like that's going to be the new norm for
well, it's
everybody to do.
having the small registry was supposed to omit the expense probably,
Yeah,
like the big
gonna do
ceremony and then the big party.
Now it's kind
but
of the
it's
excuse
both.
to take it abroad and
Literally.
although I would like an abroad wedding. So
Do you know what I always think about in this though? You see so many things on social media at the moment, like pushback from people having to go on like 12 hen do's.
so true.
Home and away, and then a registry office. You have to have an outfit for that, and then you have to go on the destination wedding. And
Yeah.
then we talk to Lydia all the time about single tax. Like if you've got to go on your own to a wedding, like to
Yeah.
bear the brunt of that cost. Wedding
Yeah.
gift, hen do, bridesmaids gifts. Like
Yeah.
it's turned into an absolute monster.
Full on.
Yeah,
it was
it's
bad when I
insane.
got married, and that was 10 years ago. Like I would dread to be a bride right now. Sorry, Lucy.
Well, thanks.
So I
really
had a
excited for the
destination
next few
wedding
years.
and I genuinely did feel guilty. We kept it
Really?
very, very tight, but the idea that people would pay, we built into the budget like drinks at the wedding and then a party the next day and tried to help facilitate it, but I never underestimate how much people paid to come, but we still deliberately kept it small for that reason. And you know, it was like no hard feelings for those that didn't. So yeah, I feel like, Emma, we're really excited for you. Weddings do cost an awful lot, and so having a conversation about where you're at financially in the cost of living crisis. It is hard as it is. But really thinking about the things that you both want rather than what maybe Grace Beverly shows what she can do, which is a different life,
So
and
easy
what
to
your
get carried
parents
away.
also may
Yeah.
put on you, because you don't need the random great aunt attending with a full course 3 dinner that you don't really know. And like, you know, there's lots of things that you don't have to have random, but we didn't have a cake because neither of us like cake. So we didn't
I
have a
hate
cake.
cake.
So
I
don't
want
have a cake.
I love cake.
I want like
She wants a cake. She's gluten-free though,
would like
so
a flat
I'm lactose, so she can't. It's just like she's gonna have a bowl of fruit.
So we're going to cut the flapjack now. Do we stop giving?
or like something savoury maybe.
Sausage roll.
Going to cut the
Greg
sausage
sausage roll.
Oh my God, pound bakery sausage roll.
I
But
think-
that just keeps the budget down.
Emma, it's so easy to get carried away. My piece of advice, like on social media and Pinterest, and you're like, now we need this and now we need that.
Keep it
But
simple.
my piece of advice would be go and look on forums and see what brides wouldn't,
Okay.
retrospectively, wish that they hadn't paid for.
Okay.
I feel like that's the best bit of advice. Like people will say, I wish I didn't spend so much on a photographer. I've
Yeah.
never looked at the wedding album. It sat in the loft. It was like 1,200 quid.
That's so true. What's
yeah.
like what you think is important isn't necessarily, but like do a budget. So, you know, oh my God, you could do a budget in the app. You could actually do a wedding budget in the app, but do it and have a look and then go, right, okay, how do I feel? What are my things that are non-negotiables, but what, you know, favors, surely they're dead now. Who does a
Yeah.
favor? And like we had
DIY
flowers actually, we had some flowers, really simple flowers. And then they moved over the arch when we got married in Portugal. And then they moved them to the long table that we had. And so around the back, and no one knew that. And it was just like a nice
nobody's
long...
still standing at the arch.
No, exactly.
They're not eating the nice food that I paid for. So
There's
anyway,
loads of little hacks, definitely, but
you can do this and you can get the wedding that you want and also plan for the life that you then want together, which you don't want to start in like 20 grand's worth
Maybe
of
the
debt.
budget for the wedding is a good practice for married life.
Married life.
Good thing to do together.
yes.
Wedding money date nights.
Yeah, they're exciting.
God, that's a
Whilst
that's
cake like
extra.
menu tasting.
Menu taste. Like, I don't have a cake, I
How
want a
much is
flapjack.
this?
I'm here for that.
So if you would like to tell us your little win or big win, then head to the Financielle Community and drop it in because we love to hear them. So I've got another dilemma.
Hold on.
So again, buckle up as always. So here's the title. Juicy one again. I'm too scared to ask my friend for my money back.
Oh no! I'm like cringing already. Like I'm
Just keep the money.
social
Just keep the money.
awkwardness.
Keep the money. I'll move countries, it's fine.
It
was yours anyway.
I'll give you some more money, it's fine.
Do you need more? Hi girls, this has been eating me up for nearly a year and I have absolutely no clue how to sort it out. Please help. Don't you worry. Okay. I've always been someone who's organised with their money. We love you. You are us.
Yeah.
I've never been in debt. I've always stuck to a budget and saved up for the things I wanted to buy. I'm 30, a solo homeowner, and genuinely feel like I'm on top of the world, apart from one little thing. My best friend was really struggling financially just under a year ago. She'd lost her job and she came to me to ask for help, which I understand must have been super hard for her. So true. I lent her £3,000, which is a lot of money, and she promised she'd pay it back as soon as she had the money. Wait. A couple of months later, she was back in a good job and finally felt secure. She moved into a nicer place with higher rent. She's always out for fancy meals and has even just got back from a skiing holiday.
I bet she has.
How much was it?
£3,000. No. Go on.
I can't bring myself to ask her for my money back, but I know that she won't bring it up first. I feel like it's just making me resent our friendship and I really would like my money back. Is lending money to friends a definite no-no? And how do I approach her for asking my money back?
How was that après ski?
Yeah.
We're all spritz.
Money gone. Champagne.
Can you at least hide me from your story, make it a bit subtle? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, do you know what? When she said it's been eating away at her,
Yeah.
it probably has every single day. And it must be so, like, I hate lending money between friends because there's something that kind of happens between friends and family when you lend money that basically it's in our human nature. If you're the person that's borrowed the money, like you needed the money, any activity you do from then even eating is
literally.
probably either on you or on them. You feel like you're being watched, or
Looking
you're being
over your shoulder and Greg's with sunglasses on.
or like they're getting a Monzo pop up. Oh, getting a coffee again, and it's not fair that it be like that. There shouldn't be conditions to it, but it's human nature to it, and so this whenever it's really difficult if people are massively struggling, and that is like an emergency, I guess, line of credit for someone, a lifeline. That sounds like an awful lot of money. It'd be really interesting to know probably what it was for and what any plan was for payback, because it could be that her friend has already planned these trips and already paid for them, and she wasn't great with her money, but then something came up that was genuinely stressful and that she needed that. It could have been a moving house or a rental deposit or something emergency. So it may not be the case that she's then gone, okay, I'm off and I'm still spending, but it's really difficult that she's not even offered to pay it back in installments or anything.
I could never.
Being so obvious and blatant that you're going away.
Like spending up going out for a meal. I think it's really difficult. I feel really sorry for this person. I feel like if anyone approached me for that money, I would really have to, because I feel good about my money and I budget and I'm aware of what things coming and going, it would really impact me and my like financial goals. So I would be like, okay, I will lend you the money. I actually don't think I would if I did. I would want a plan. I would be like, it's fine to do it, but when are you going to pay me back? Let's do monthly installments. Let's set up a direct debit, like anything I could do to ensure that there was a plan to pay it back. Because like I said, it's eating her up. Blatantly, it looks like the other person's not bothered going away on holiday and stuff. I feel there's a power struggle. At the minute you lend someone money, the power dynamics change. Yeah. It's now no longer a friendship.
I feel like as soon as you lend someone money, you kind of have to, I feel like it's like investing. You have to kind of just detach from that money.
Because otherwise you want to return it, you want it back. Yeah,
like you can't put pressure on it, and you have to kind of be willing to be like, if I don't get this money back, then
that's
it's fine.
Such a good perspective, actually. Like I've done that before where, because I again would never lend money to people. No. I just don't do it. I think I have been in a scenario where someone's needed it. I've given it and said, I don't want this back. Because actually, just like her, it stresses me out more to know when are they going to pay it back, and how much will that be for? Like, when will it be? In what installments? So I have said, you can have it. So I definitely feel for her. I feel like she needs to raise it, and she can definitely, you can definitely do it in a lighthearted way, and not a jokey way, but I kind of like, when you lent that money, can we sort out a payment plan? I've got these kind of financial goals. Like I do need it back. What works for you? Like, do you want to pay it back all at once, or do you want to pay it across 3 months? Suggest
give her a deadline. Yeah, because you've been on for years.
It's on your chest, like put it on her a little bit.
Absolutely. She needs a bit of a fire under her ass.
Literally.
She does. And listen, like, you have done nothing wrong and you've helped her out. She's in the wrong here. It could be that she's kind of very blasé about it and really not thinking, and some people aren't wired that way. So we can give her the benefit of the doubt, but she needs to come to the table and pay that money back. So.
And she might also see that you're obviously not struggling financially.
So she's like, she
doesn't need it.
Yes. Whereas actually,
she's been in that point of like financial despair where she's like, I needed that money. So she maybe can't relate and be like, oh.
If she can lend me $3,000, she obviously doesn't need the money. No, I need the money. Like, pay me back.
It's a big topic, isn't it?
It's really hard. Like I said, the minute you lend money to someone, the dynamics of the relationship change, whether you like it or not.
This is a health warning.
Yeah, you really have to think. A lot of people in the community actually say, I think someone said the other day, what was the biggest piece of advice you'd give to your younger self? And someone said, I would never lend money to family and friends.
Dynamics change massively. You can do so many things about helping someone, supporting someone, doing a budget with them, help, offering that if they need extra help from formal sources, if they're struggling to pay bills, be that person that's like, I'm in your corner. I know how to work through this. This is kind of like my geek thing. I like it. Yeah. But I can't lend you money. And I've said that before. I've said, I don't lend money. If someone has asked me before, I say, I'm really sorry. We have a literal policy in our family because it's mine and my husband's money. Yeah. We don't lend money. How can I help? And I feel like at least that, like, if they don't want the help, then they don't deserve the money anyway as a loan. Yeah. Well, very true. Thank you for that, sharing that as a dilemma, because I feel like a lot of people will relate to it, and I hope you get your money back.
Do a Monzo request.
Literally, just send a Monzo request.
Get an invoice.
Problem solved. £3,000. I want to know who's paying for the coffees when they meet up.
I want to follow up. Paying for the champagne and the après ski. Yeah, there we go.
So that's all for today's episode. So any final words?
No.
You can Shut the vault.
We're going to close the vault. Don't forget to share this with your friends. The more the merrier here in the vault. And if you want to send us your dilemmas, send them to thevault@financielle.com. This is just a small disclaimer. The Vault is just a chat around life and money topics. We are not giving financial advice.